Hello everyone. So I did want to provide an update for the version 2.1.1 of the NBA Bounce Mod Manager. Now the name has changed slightly between version 1.0 and the latest version as the scope of the project expanded. I've been able to add some really cool features, and I wanted to create a video just to kind of dive into how some of those features work, how to set up the program, as I've kind of gotten to a point with this software where it kind of does everything that I wanted it to do. Um, so let's get right into it. So you can download the newest version in a couple different places. First, you can go over to the GitHub that I will leave in the description. Make sure that you go for the latest release, as well as you can navigate over to the NLSC forum to download it as well. I normally upload both of them in tandem, so you'll be able to get it from either source as you feel more comfortable with each one. So kind of looking at the software, opening it up for the first time. So you can run it a few different ways. So you do have to set up and run, but you can also use the app.py file, or excuse me, .py file. So once I load into it, this is what the software looks like now. I kind of just want to go over how each of the new tools work. So if I go over to settings, it should look for your data game folder, and then also you need to create a mods folder. So you want to make sure that you do that. You can use the browse button to do that. You can also change it to a light or dark mode just like you could in the previous version. So for textures, not much has changed. We've all kind of seen how this works. I did just want to show one major thing that changed from these versions. So let's say I filter and then I select by the logo. So one issue that I was having when I was doing some personal modding projects is that it would cut off. I didn't know exactly why it was cutting off, but come to find out that inside of the code using Unity, it would kind of crop to the specific logo shape that it was working with. It would work a little bit out of that perimeter, making different logos from different times a little bit harder to kind of fit. So it's built into the program now where you upload and replace that texture, it will expand the crop to what is needed. So if I import the replacement, and let's say I use my global that I created, I can now apply the texture mod, and we will see how that works in game in a few minutes. So it's pretty simple. And then we can kind of move over to the audio tab. So with the audio tab, it is going to load in all of the audio from the game. And doing so, I'm not going to play any of these, but you can kind of see what these files kind of look like. You can play them, you can pause, you can also stop, and you can double click to play on the left hand side. You can also export the WAV file. I prefer to use Audacity for my personal workflow. So then you can upload into Audacity, make the changes. The only thing that you want to make sure that you do is that you make sure you keep it to the exact length that it started with. You want to make sure it's to the exact length. That's why I like to export that WAV file to make sure that I do so. Once you do that, you can queue up your replacement. It also does sort some of them by language. So if you want to filter by specific language, you can do so as well. So you can do a lot of really cool things with that. You can replace audio for what the announcers say. You can replace the main music. You can replace the song that plays during certain matches. There's a lot of really cool stuff that you can kind of do with that. You can always restore all the audio texture or all the audio files as you need, and then you want to always make sure you hit apply audio mods when you are ready. So another really cool feature that was added was the floor panels. So these floor panels, we can see that in the stock game, it uses the same floor panel for every single court in the game. It's something that I didn't really notice until I really started to dig deeper into the game files. The only difference that it does is that they change the tint over time. So we can see a little bit of the different tints that are used. So what I did add was a couple of different textures that were generated to be able to have some different options. So you can apply any of these textures. There's only a few stipulations. These textures that are being added, they're being added into open slots inside of the game files. Because of that, there's only a total of 8 slots that you can use in the game files at this current time. So you can only change the pattern for 8 different courts. And you can also upload your own texture pattern if you would like to. So you can do that using the import custom PNG. To be honest, it's something that I have not tested and done yet, just because I haven't had the need to, because a lot of these patterns fit a lot of the different courts that I was looking for, and kind of can make it work in a few different ways. Now we'll see in a minute. Now while we have this tool, one really cool thing that you can do as well is you can change the different court that you are affecting. So how the game kind of works is that based on the logo that you select during your team selection, it changes the court as well. But all it really does to change that court is it changes the logo that's on that court, and also changes the out of bounds. It changes that instead of text that's being shown, it changes it to the classic logo that you choose. So you can select for specific courts if you'd like to select for that specific court, and you'll see a little bit more with that with court colors as well. So let's do something with the Golden State Warriors. So if I go down, and I'm just going to change this court to something that we would probably never see, and I can hit assign to court. So I am going to go over to court colors to kind of show that off a little bit. So with court colors, we have a couple different options, and I guess we'll keep with Golden State for some of these examples today. So we have a few things that we can kind of manipulate and work with this tool. So for one, you can copy colors from another team if you would like to, if that just kind of makes things easier, as well as you can change the floor color. So how this works is it's just a simple tint that is being applied to that court texture that we just looked at with the floor patterns. So all it is a simple tint. Some teams have a lighter tint than others. One really cool thing that you can do with this tool that I like to do personally is that you can use the eyedropper tool. So you can select that eyedropper tool and change it to any color that you would like, and then you can apply that as your color. So something pretty simple to do. So you can do that for each of these. So for the sideline, for the paint, for the outer surrounding, so it's the outmost part of the court that you see, as well as the court lines, any key and paint markings, as well as the three-point line, and then finally the free throw circle. So those are all the values that the kind of game decides when it's kind of generating each court in the game. And same as before, you can change it to any of these. Now, some of these names were kind of auto-generated, so they might not be 100% accurate. Sometimes it doesn't know what logo it's looking at from what era. So you kind of have to pick out, you have to test a little bit about what each of these are. We can kind of see that with the city example here. This is not the city, right? But we can apply that as we'd like. So we can apply it to all the courts, or we can apply it to a single court as we need. And I'll change this to kind of a crazy tint just so that we can kind of see what that example looks like when we load in game in a little bit. Let's change it to a tint like that. So I'll hit apply to game, and then it'll apply it. Now going back a little bit, one of my favorite parts is this gameplay sliders. So it does take some tweaking. There's definitely some research that needs to be done on really what is affecting what with some of this. But one of my biggest gripes or complaints with NBA Bounce is how easy it is to time shots. I understand it's a kid's game. There's a big reason for that. But I want to be able to create a way to make that harder if I would like to. So all the values that are decided by the game are listed out in this game's play sliders tab. So you can view them, and they also kind of give a description of what they do. Now, again, some of the stuff needs to be tested. It's not going to be 100% accurate. It's just some of the findings of kind of digging through the code of the game. Now, one important thing to know about NBA Bounce is that each individual character does not have stats. It is player versus CPU, and those stats are kind of applied as we kind of see based on the difficulty set by the game. Now, I do have it in the notes of some of the information I have for this software, but please do note, when you do use these gameplay sliders, it does not matter what difficulty you select in the in-game menu from that point. So the gameplay sliders are going to supersede whatever difficulty that you select in this game. And you can find a little bit more information with that with this pop-up right here. So I did create a few different presets that can be applied. Again, there's a lot of testing that needs to be done. These were kind of just thrown together. So, you know, I'm more than happy to kind of get some feedback on what works, what doesn't. And one way I do allow for feedback is you are able to load in and save your own slider set. So I'm really hoping that people kind of share those within the community. So we can say Hall of Fame, for example, and we can see how those slider sets change for the user and then also for the player. You want to make sure that you hit apply game, and you are good to go once it is done writing it. And then from there, we have the Save Unlocker tool. Now, the Save Unlocker tool does not unlock every single piece of unlockable in the game, and I also can't vouch for any of the DLC that unlocks. All right, but what you can do with this tool is you can load in your save file. Typically, your save file is right here, so it's typically in your C drive under your users, app data, local low, unfinished pixel, the developers, and then the NBA bounce folder. Mine is labeled as NBA bounce 18.save. Yours just might be NBA bounce. Again, I've done a lot of testing, so mine might be a little bit different. But you can choose what you want to unlock or lock. Now, there are random rewards in the game that do not unlock with this unlocker tool, so you might still need to unlock a few things, but this unlocks almost everything that is available in the game, so you can make your character customization a little bit better. So you can unlock the ones that you select. You can unlock everything. I always recommend backing up your save before you make any of these changes. I will tell you, during my testing process, this was the hardest thing to really get to work. The game did not like changing any of the values. It would kind of hang on the initial load of the game. So you definitely want to make sure that you back everything up. And you also want to make sure that you turn off Steam Cloud before applying this. You can turn on Steam Cloud after you get your save to work and unlocks everything. But when you first start kind of tinkering with this save unlocker, you want to make sure you turn off Save Cloud. Otherwise, you could bork the current save that you are working with. So that's really a lot of the tool. Again, I'm kind of at a point with this tool where I really like how everything works, how it comes together. So I do just want to show some of the changes that we made in game, and then we can kind of call it a video. So just to kind of go over some of those changes that we made, remember we changed the court pattern for the Golden State Warriors court. We also changed the Golden State Warriors logo, as well as we changed the global icon as well. So we can see some of those changes and what they kind of look like in game. Like we kind of went over the last video, you can also change jerseys as well. You can change any of the players that you see in the game. You can add accessories or change accessories as you'd like. You can change the balls, the main menu, anything that you kind of see in the game, you're able to do so. So we can see here that icon is now changed to the Warriors icon. Now I did create a texture guide as well that you can kind of look at to see what each of these file names, how they associate and what they do. We can already see already how the court looks quite different than what it does in the standard game. So, and we can also see real quick if we just want to see some of the how the CPU kind of works at this highest difficulty. It is a lot harder. It's a lot harder to shoot as well on this highest difficulty. It really makes the game fun to play. There's also some other values you can change, such as the player speed, to really make it a fun time. So let's see what shooting looks like. The green window is much smaller than what it was in the past. So that's kind of it for the video. If you have any questions, if you want to help out at all, I'm more than happy to kind of show somebody what we're working on and kind of where we want to go. I have a few other projects kind of down the pipeline that I am currently working on that I'm excited to show off over the next few weeks. So thank you for supporting. Leave a comment, leave a like, and make sure that you're subscribed to the channel.